All right, so welcome everybody to another episode of Amazon Monthly Insights. We'll be doing news and updates for the month of March 2021. My name is John Ghiorso. I'm here with Kyle Olson, our Director of Strategy. We'll dive right into it. We have a handful of updates in the kind of general section, a couple related to content and catalog, and then a few in advertising as well. So we'll go in order, starting with the first one on our list. Kyle, early reviewer program termination.
Yeah, so this one sounds like old news now because there's been a lot of talk about it, but Amazon announced earlier in March that they're doing away with the early reviewer program, which was a pretty inexpensive way through Seller Central to get reviews for your products. And was a pretty big shift because there's no specific replacement for that that's been announced, and kind of coincides with some other changes Amazon's made recently with removing the ability to comment on reviews as a brand and some of those sorts of things. So that was big news and is currently being deprecated, I believe, officially at the end of this month. So there is still Vine in Seller Central, but curious to see what that'll look like in the coming months if Amazon will have some sort of replacement. But really disruptive since it was a pretty highly leveraged way to get reviews, and getting legitimate reviews on Amazon has always been a challenge, and it seems to be a way of Amazon making that more difficult, oddly enough. So
interesting.
Yeah,
it will be missed, especially with no kind of obvious replacement. So, all right, next one on here, Prime Day 2021.
Yeah, so over the past couple of weeks, there's been a handful of announcements with various deadlines around Prime Day. No official dates yet for the event itself, but the deal submission window did open in March, at least in the US, and set to end in about a week from today. In terms of lightning deal submissions, we know vendor managers have been curating deal of the day submissions. And there's been different deadlines posted in terms of when purchase orders will cut, when shipment deadlines are. Around the middle to end of May. So all indications are pointing towards sometime in June, so a little bit earlier than the historical summer events. More to come there, obviously, as those details get finalized, but definitely well within kind of the prep period to prepare for deals for Prime Day, and if not deals, obviously get your advertising, your content, all of your kind of foundational elements in place, since we're coming up on that pretty quickly.
Yeah, sounds good. And if folks remember, it was supposed to be in June last year. Obviously, COVID changed everything, but looks like they're going to be repeating the original plan for last year. All right, next on the list, NAFN updates with Brazil.
Sure. So NAFN, if you're not familiar with it, is Amazon's North American Fulfillment Network program, where essentially they reserve the right to purchase inventory in the US and make that available to fulfill customer demand previously in Canada and Mexico, hence North America. They've now lumped Brazil into that same program. So I guess in their eyes, Brazil is now North American, but point being, they will, at their discretion, make inventory available for Brazilian customers. It's a pretty easy way for them to test the waters without having to have a full vendor set up in any of those marketplaces, and just be a lot more nimble with inventory demand. In a lot of ways, it can be cheaper as opposed to, again, getting a vendor set up and having case packs of inventory if they don't know if it'll sell through. So it's a potential good opportunity there for brands to test the waters in Brazil. There's some nuance there when it comes to compliance. Amazon does put the burden on the brand to comply with the local just regulations. So there may be alerts that come through the system where you need to submit and make sure, again, you have whatever documentation is needed for your products to flow through that program. Technically, there are ways to opt out of that program as well. But again, a new announcement there where Brazil now rolls under this program by default, which the majority of vendors are enrolled in, again, by default.
Yeah, that's great to know, and obviously, I think they're going to need to change the name of that program. So, all right, last update in our general section, not the most fun one, FBA fee increases.
Yeah, so we kind of knew this was coming since Amazon postponed their beginning of year increases because of COVID, but they did make that formal announcement where now that things in their network are starting to normalize a bit, have dates and specifics for fee increases for this year. Those are set to hit on June 1st. As normal, it's kind of your mixed bag of slight increases in certain categories. Some things aren't being changed, some decreases. Generally speaking, referral fees are increasing for a handful of categories, a couple of percentage points. There's a handful of processing fees, pick, pack, those sorts of things are slightly decreasing. But again, it's a mixed bag based on your category. So definitely would urge all folks to the documentation within Seller Central to find out what those increases are relative to their business. But definitely something to be aware of coming in a couple of months here on June 1st.
Hey there, I'm Dave Zimmerman with Orca Pacific. I hope you're enjoying the show. I wanted to let you know this episode is brought to you by Orca Pacific, a Mighty Hive company. We're a full-service agency exclusively focused on Amazon with capabilities for everything a brand needs to succeed on the platform. From advertising strategy, content development and SEO, to merchandising and marketing. If it relates to driving and converting demand on the platform, our dedicated teams are leaders in this space. Our robust suite of services includes expertise on the back end as well, from operational support, demand forecasting and planning, to the right fulfillment options, and higher level strategies like long-term planning, channel management, and access to beta programs. To learn more, visit our website at www.orcapac.com. That's ORCAPAC.com. And a business development manager will get you up to speed on how we can accelerate your Amazon business. Now, back to the show.
All right, on to content and catalog. We have two updates here. The first one is document submission process.
Yeah, so we've talked pretty much every episode over the past 6 months on random compliance requirements, hazmat, pesticide, et cetera. Amazon finally rolled out a more centralized way to handle all of those submissions. Previously, it was very manual, a lot of individual case submissions, not a great track record on what's been submitted, what's needed, what items are outstanding, et cetera. That's been consolidated, and they're rolling out a way to look at that really for your whole catalog in kind of one centralized place to find out what documents are needed, what's been submitted, what's pending, and really just streamline the management and tracking of that, which is great news considering they're really making a big push to get compliant across the board. So I believe that's not fully rolled out, but will be kind of in a phased approach if you haven't seen that yet, but should be great news for anyone who has a lot of just compliance affected product.
Yep, that's great. All right, second one on the content catalog list here, new product types and attributes.
Yeah, so Amazon recently announced a few new product types, attributes, categorizations, so those sorts of things. They tend to do this periodically to kind of restructure how they set up and group products, mainly based on customer experience, browse nodes, browsability, things like that, really premised around improving the customer experience. There shouldn't be any significant impacts from this outside of new options in your item setup forms, different dropdowns, different selections, things like that. However, it could cause some confusion in kind of old product versus new product if you're selling in the same categories. Amazon's not intending to go retroactively and switch the category for an existing item or switch those attributes, but it will affect new products moving forward. So it could add some inconsistencies in your catalog. And if you go back to make edits to existing product, it may impact what you're capable of changing there kind of between the old and new formats. So a bit of a quirk to keep in mind in some of those categories, depending on, again, how often you roll new product out, how often you update product, and can kind of cause a bit of a discrepancy there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, good to know. All right, last big category here, advertising, and we have two updates. The first one is Whole Foods in-store attribution.
Yeah, so this one's pretty cool. DSP rolled out ad attribution specifically for purchases made in Whole Foods. So kind of combining the physical retail experience with their digital advertising. My understanding of the way that this will work is that it's tied to a Prime membership that a customer would kind of scan or indicate when checking out in Whole Foods. But basically allowing us to find out, if somebody's being served an ad through DSP, on Amazon site, on their app, wherever, and makes a purchase for that product or that brand in store, that will now be able to be tracked and attributed and kind of rolled into the broader DSP metrics, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Yeah, that's super interesting and hopefully a sign of more of this type of thing to come.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Last update on our list, customer engagement program.
Yep. So this is a bit of an expansion on some of the different kind of brand following things that Amazon's rolled out. So Amazon posts, the ability to follow brand stores as a customer, ability to follow brands in general, and really making brands able to engage with those followings a bit more. Different ways of targeting those existing followers, again, through posts and things like that, as well as sort of email marketing opportunities where we could send through Amazon's ecosystem, email alerts, email blasts, whatever you want to call them, announcements to those followers on Amazon and really engage with them as a specific subset of customers and kind of push that to drive your business on Amazon. So early days for that, but that's a pretty interesting thing and likely one that will scale up as well as they try to make more of a kind of brand immersive experience within their ecosystem.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good one to end on. So for anybody listening to this in the podcast feed, we will sign off now. For those that are on with us live here, we'll go to Q&A. So kind of a teaser to catch this live next time around and catch the Q&A as well.